So backstory, this is transitioning on to giving up the identity that you played like a sport or something you did for the entire life. And all of a sudden you have to walk away from it, but knowing that if you continue to do so, it wasn't going to fulfill your dreams for the future. And it was hard because he was injured. When he got back, it wasn't the same. So we figured it out. Now he's feeling back up to where it is, but now he's at a crossroads. And at that point, it's like, can I just work? And a good job. He in IT. He even this hiring freeze. He got hired like this week, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm ready." And I was like, "Dang!" Like I remember he was like, for the whole entire year, he was just like, I'm not sure if I want to walk away." But we have to break it down. Like, and if you played another year, what's the point? You give up a salary job that, in this case, would really just start your work life type. Not saying I'm always proponent to that, but if you have financial like goals to hit at a certain amount of time, a year can mean a lot. And or play another year and hoping to go pro, where your contracts and stuff like that are so diluted where sometimes you're getting paid like 1,000 a month just to play at like a lower division if you don't make the MLS, and even those contracts could be very low paying. So what is it then? And yeah, so how does one feel like just walking away? So I'm gonna kind of tie it back to us, but how does it feel like? What kind of identities for you was like? I had to walk away and then sacrifice the person who I am today for the person I want to become. Type of question. Because I was thinking about that like in retrospect about my life. Because I think I'm at a current crossroads as well as I talked to you about last week's episode. But how do you kind of, I don't want to say kill off, but like you know what I mean, but shred off that former self. Yeah, like those habit changing things. I think, did I get you?
I'm reflecting on what is a time that I had to make the choice. I think in the last episode we talked a little bit about when I got laid off and the choice was
Mm-hmm.
made for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think the journey might be similar in that if I did so back in, I don't know, 2017, 2018, when I got laid off, my identity was my job. And this
Mm-hmm.
this might be very similar to like this athlete, right? Their identity is the sport that they play and they strive for. I think it made me reflect on how individuals can have multiple identities, and there's kind of a time and place for it. So my identity was my job, and that was at the expense of a lot of relationships, both friends and family. That was at the expense of kind of living life, being a little more spontaneous, right? Things like that. But it's difficult. It's so different than like being in a position where you have the option
Mm-hmm.
to either pursue a dream or not want to pursue the dream. I still think like for me, I'm still pursuing the dream, so it's a lot harder. It's not as
Mm-hmm.
binary as like what's an example? Like I just want to be some big corporate bro. Like I left corporate after being in it for 3 years and haven't turned away back, right? I don't know.
So
If there's
corporate
something
bro.
I'm missing, go ahead and prime me up on it. But this one's hard for me to like know
Think about.
truly. Yeah.
So this got me thinking internally because I had multiple shifts. Like, let's just start from high school. Football player, played football for all 4 years, just identified as that. Going to college, just being a regular person, then joining a fraternity, being a fraternity man with like just in the life, and going to now being your profession, and then profession to like maybe chasing the dream. For mine at the moment at that time was photography and kind of doing like that Instagram type of wonder, like less type of like traveling and going out, like, oh, that'd be amazing. And then realizing I didn't want that. And now I'm back to the creative side where I don't want to be identified as my job anymore. Back to this again, why I'm starting up this podcast with you and other creative stuff again. But I miss being a documentarian, you know? And, but to get to where I'm at, I really thought about the quote from Hitch because I love Hitch. Okay, that's still my favorite, one of my favorite movies. Um, but when he was taken on the date, he said like, "You don't know where you're going unless you know where you've been." And for me, it's like, where am I going? Where have I been? And for me, I wanted it. In my core, I wanted to help people. I want to. In what way is it direct or indirect? As an athletic trainer, it's very direct. I can see immediate response to my treatment. And what I yearned for as the creator was the helping side of exposing someone's story to inflect a change in someone else. And that core of like, I've been there, but I want to go there further. So for me, yeah, even with that identity shift, that got me thinking as well. So that was really that was my take on things.
Okay, you got some juices going on my side. Now I can think of it.
Uh,
Now that you've shared your story and those
mm-hmm,
pieces to it, my biggest struggle is doing either something I really truly love to do or try to be an entrepreneur and make money on the side. And it's a constant fight between the two.
mm-hmm,
I would love to be able to do my own thing and make some side cash, but I think that often becomes a distraction for what I want to do because it's sometimes misaligned.
mm-hmm.
Like I would love to just blog about personal finance the whole time, or like right now I'm super deep into like Medicare, right? And so it's like, wow, there's a lot of stuff that can help people that a lot of the information is not available or it's super complicated. And just helping people that way would be cool. A lot of times the people that need the most help also aren't the ones that they need the most help because usually the resources aren't available to them, right? Which then
Mm-hmm.
means it's usually hard to charge for it. And so then it creates this like weird thing of like, do you spend time where you can't get any money on it, but you get this gratification for it? This podcast is cool because it's the first time I'm doing something where I don't I don't think you and I really care where this goes.
We're
Like
just going for it. We're just
we're
doing
just
it.
going for it. And I think that is the coolest thing. I'm so planned out with everything that this is the first time it doesn't have a plan.
I think it's great. It's an amazing thing,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
it's freeing. Like I love it. Like this is just a creative juice. Like oh, I gotta get back going. I gotta get back into it, and I can be structured in other things. I feel like it's very important to be structured in different stuff, and but using the escapisms of like these sporadic like spontaneities to make sure we keep life exciting.
So going back to the section that you just talked about,
Mm,
being one who documents the journey.
yeah.
I mean, I guess in a way we're doing it here, kind of
Hmm.
as a byproduct of just catching up and talking.
Yeah.
Are you gonna do anything active with it?
Yeah. So the plan was to restart my creative side again. So I had like my Creator's Mind podcast, which is kind of documenting like telling stories of photographers, but I kind of want to just do photographers, you know. I really just want to get back out there and just find the interesting stories. Doesn't really matter anymore, you know. Not using it as a audience that I used to aim for, but just as the theme of inspire. And what does that mean? And the way I was thinking about it, still again, a lot of my head, not pen and paper, not have been executed how I want to do it. But those are things I want to be methodical about, and that's my second type of side hustle. On how can I build that to be financial, stepping so I could step away from really depending on my job. So yeah, I think it's coming together. It's by the time hopefully this thing comes out, I'll have at least something ready. But yeah, so even with documentary. I'm like getting lost right now. It's getting late at night and getting old. Bedtime. But just yeah, finding cool people like just to talk to you. Chefs freaking love food, man. Like I just want to hear about how they get started and what inspires them to do that, or it's like a designer or just someone that's passionate about whatever they do. Freaking furniture flipping is so sick. I've been on that on Instagram. My whole entire freaking feed is now all furniture flipping on my Explorer. And that in itself is like really crazy. It could be a side hustle that they never expected and kind of inspiring someone else might to do it. Yeah, even my other homie got me into like, hey, we should just trade cards. And that's how I got into the magic stuff. So this week I just kind of blew some money on within my budget, blew some money on a box of like Magic booster sets, and just went ripping away and just seeing where it goes, collecting cards and just doing some fun stuff and just like, oh, I really want to get into it. My brother showed me how to play. So yeah, it's those little stuff like I got inspired from because one of our friends were just like, we should do it. I was like, yeah, we should. So yeah, I think that was an important part about it.
What do you think's enabled you to pursue so many things when previously you had to be so calculated and planned about every action that you took?
I think structure. Reason being is that when during COVID or even my career, I'll give a short synopsis. Like first 2 years I was doing part time. So honestly, out of college I was making 18K a year. Like very like scraping by and working. That was my main job and working side jobs just to keep afloat. Landed a year internship with the NFL team. Pretty stable financially, but ate away a lot of time. And before COVID, I was working at a high school and it was very stable, but clinically I wasn't satisfied. So when COVID hit, just kind of pressed the reset button, quit, figured that stuff out. And when I got to state, I just went, before I got to my current job, I just said, F it, I want to do freelance photographer and see how it plays out. And I wasn't really too happy about it. Like it was cool, but I just wasn't satisfied. So I went back. And then the last 3 years is having a structured job to kind of prevent a lot of foundation stuff for me, made me more less risk adverse. Like, oh, I'm ready. Like I'm good where I'm at now. Where, like I said, I don't have to put so much time and focus. I put in everything I need to do the A+ effort, but I know that I'll have more in the tank because I created that structure for myself to be more spontaneous and be more thriving. And also, the secondary portion is time. I have like significant other thinking about if we get married and have kids, probably the next 3 or 4 years, this sense of risk I can't take has to be even more like thought about because can I actually do that? Can I actually take this risk to now I'm taking care and the responsibility of an individual is that if I lose this and I didn't set myself up right and everything goes to crap, I'm in crap. So as long as that happens, like I can try to do this and push all the externals to increase my top line, then really focus in on the grander scheme of I can create something systematically business sense where if I whatever happens, I lose my structured job, I created a structure somewhere else already to support what I need to get done and support who I need to support or help support, not need to, but you know. So I think yeah, that's why after those 3 years I felt extremely braver, more brave in the sense of doing this stuff now and kind of turning off the scared mode or safety mode and just kind of going balls to the wall type of thing. Yeah.
Sounds exciting, dude.
So how about you, Mr. Confliction of having everything super structured and having this? How do you feel about balancing the structured versus unstructured for you? Because I know you have all like on top of this you work as well, getting the house ready, and I'm pretty sure you have one more project that I'm pretty even your blog. I'm pretty sure that's on there as well. So we're kind of on the same levels. Probably yours is a lot more higher end, but we are balancing a lot. So how are you doing that kind of in and out identity or self like principle conflicting principle balancing act?
It's kind of weird, but it's basically just having scheduled time to be spontaneous, which is
Mm,
weird because being spontaneous shouldn't be planned. But there's so many things going on that I have to be very disciplined in when I'm putting my time, where I'm putting my time. And even, today, like I didn't wake up when I wanted to wake up so that I can go to the gym. There's definitely parts that are still a work in progress, but I mean, I literally worked, basically up until the time that we jumped on to record this piece. I'm going to work probably another 2 hours afterwards, but it's prioritizing things like this that I think it'll pay it'll pay a nice dividend down the line in my like mental well-being.
yeah.
Like I could have easily texted you and just been like, look, dude, I got a ton of work. I'm just going to grind through this. But I think there's something lost by doing that, even though, like, yeah, there's a ton of stuff to do later. I think things like that, planning the time and being pretty deliberate with when I'm hanging out with my SO, my family, friends, just putting it on the calendar and then working around it.
Mhm.
Um, it does result in a pretty ruthless, like if something's on the calendar and someone flakes, they're probably not going to get back on the calendar because
Another month.
it
Sorry, you lost your
it.
slot.
But it's not only that. I feel like it's almost like a disrespect for time.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you're equally busy in your own way. There's a level of respect that you have to pay for time. And when you do just kind of want to kill it and do nothing, like there's times where we're super, super tired. And probably what's going to be more invigorating is I jump on the Peloton for 15 minutes rather than scrolling on Instagram for 15 minutes. Right. But you could just sit around and scroll on Instagram and then feel even worse than you did 15 minutes prior.
Because you just kill time, probably do something not productive at all.
Yeah, it's I think really finding those small things that like fill your cup a little bit
Mm-hmm.
and then doing those small things. I mean, like there's times I don't leave this house, right? I work from home. All the projects I can do literally from the same office. I have to like prioritize. Like I could easily let Sadie, my dog, out of the house and she'll go by herself, or I'll go and walk her, even though I don't need to walk her because she can do it on her own. But that's super important for me to just get outside and like breathe some fresh air that's not coming through
Mm-hmm.
our heating system. So it's like those small things, just being very intentional with it, I think,
Mm-hmm.
is the biggest takeaway that I have with it.
Yeah.
Because the past me would have totally blown your ass off. I would have just been like, nah, I'm good. I got work. Talk to you later next week. Bye.
Well, the lazy me would have said, "I'm in a food coma right now," and when I text you that you're still good, I just woke up from a nap. True story.
Exactly. Right. So I think that's the biggest shift.
All right. I know we're probably capped up for time, but next week I love one on your point though of like being disciplined and remember Jocko Willing has wrote Extreme Ownership, but discipline equals freedom. Oh my God. Like we can go off a tangent on that one, but that in itself is like resonating.
Oh, add that to the backlog for next week because I also bought his jeans and they're freaking fire. But we'll talk about all that next week.
We can add that one in next week. But yeah, thank you again for listening to Nick and Justin's show. So if you're still with us,
Like,
thank you.
comment,
Holy crap.
subscribe, and mostly comment. Like sharing it, I really don't care. I rather just like actually start conversations in the threads. I think that's way more interesting because
Meeting new people. Be
yeah,
tight.
and most likely these first few episodes are just our friends anyways. Like it's probably people we haven't talked to. So say what's up because I don't know, as we get older, we just all are worried about our own stuff. And this is another way to connect.
100%. You know, we're busy right now. Everyone's calendar is always a 4 week waiting time. So
Seriously.
that's just life when you get older.
Yeah. So all right. Later,
All
y'all.
right. See ya.